We are navigating ourselves to Millie Bush Dog Park, somewhere, off that Westheimer area. Chewbacca, my co-pilot, is with me yet again. We've got the latest and greatest FSD, version 13.2.8. Hopefully, that will not be the case here in the near future. We got the spring update for Tesla, hopefully on the way. And with that, we may actually get some FSD update type stuff. Your boy, along with, it seems like everybody in the Houston area, maybe the Texas area, we have been granted access to the early access program for FSD. Who knows? I mean, personally, I think I've been getting the updates a little bit sooner than the rest of the community, so to speak. There'd be times when I would get it like, within the top 5%. Sometimes in the top 10, sometimes in the top 25. Either way, it feels like I've already kind of, maybe not whole Mars blog or dirty Tesla or AI driver level early access. And if that is the case, I think that's why we hit accept on both the vehicles, the Model X and the Model 3. Those guys get, I'd say in years past, getting the early access update, you'd have to really be extremely cautious, right? There's, they're constantly working out bugs. This is a beta software. So much kudos to the, OGs that have been riding with some, they're basically guinea pigs out there. I guess we all are in the beta program, but these guys are on the front lines getting all of their stuff, right? So, but yeah, I think nowadays it's not nearly as hazardous, right? We still got to pay attention. I kind of understand what the car should be doing. We traverse these roads quite a bit. I don't do a whole lot of outside the block testing, although I am contemplating about, doing some Uber driving occasionally, like, people, I'm okay with people in small doses. I don't know how people ride share for 12 plus hours a day, 6 days a week. Much love to those guys providing a service. I'd rather, some people don't have the means to have a couple cars, let alone one car. And a lot of people use that as their primary source of transportation to get to and fro, A to B. Not to mention when people are inebriated, they call Ubers, Lyfts, all that other stuff. Rideshare has been an integral part of mobility for quite some time now, and I can't wait until Tesla turns it on its head, because quite frankly, I don't need to be in here, right? I'll be doing some Uber, and the car's going to be doing most of the driving, because I don't drive unless I absolutely have to. There'll probably be some last 100 feet stuff that needs to be tabulated on my end, making sure that the ride is as safe as possible. But for the most part, our AI student driver is going to be doing all the driving. On top of that, I shouldn't, when it comes to a point when I'm not in here, it'll be much more convenient for the consumer, cheaper, right? Think about not having to pay me, right? So, or deal with, how I like the temperature of the car, the type of music that I like to listen to. You kind of be in here on your own. It's kind of like being in your living room and then transporting yourself to another location is kind of the business model that Tesla's going to achieve with per mile instead of per car. Talk about the infotainment. This screen right here has got the navigation, which is probably what'll stay, but if the driver's in the back seat, you got a screen back there for entertainment, video games, movies, whatever. It's up to the consumer. I think it'll be this, right? Waymo's already proven that individuals prefer driverless rides. Driverless rides tend to be a little bit safer. The machine doesn't get tired, doesn't get angry. It just does what it's supposed to do with the best statistical advantage. So yeah, that's on the horizon. And to be in the early access program, to possibly experience that ahead of the masses, you know, I feel quite blessed to do so. Elephant in the room. The videos, right? I kind of took like a little more than a month hiatus. I've been in the land of the rising sun. The wife is Japanese, so we go back. She goes back practically every year. Every other year I tend to vacation out there, moonlight. I couldn't really do too much when it comes to uploading. I tried to upload some shorts, and even then that was kind of arduous. I did try to stitch together some clips. You know, before I left, I made a bunch of clips, and I was like, well, I'll just, you know, stitch them together, put some music to them, and upload them. That shit took forever. So if I ever do retire, I don't know how my YouTube journey will continue, but for those 5 weeks, it really wasn't about trying to produce content. It was about enjoying the wife and the fam. So my apologies for the hiatus, but as soon as I can get back into a routine, pardon me, need a little agua, but as soon as I can get back into a routine, I'm pretty sure those will continue as scheduled. But yeah, that was fun. I haven't done anything as far, because I did a little touristy, took some video clips here and there. While I was in Japan, I visited a not a service center, but a showroom. It's kind of like in a shopping mall of some sort, right? It'd be the equivalent of what the Galleria showroom looks like out here. But yeah, they had the Model X on display. We're able to let the in-laws, who really had never been in a Tesla before, test drive one. And I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, I might have broken a couple of these family members who all they've experienced are these hybrids from Honda and Nissan, and the driving experience is lackluster, right? It's a car, kuruma, in Japan, is essentially a tool. Utilizing, you know, you have to worry about gas, maintenance, and all this other stuff in order to get from work to, you know, all the various different needs that a car has, right? I mean, it's really no different experience over there than it is over here. The roadways are a little bit thinner, let's say that. We got an emergency vehicle. I heard it, I don't see it. But yeah, either way, obviously some of the road rules are a tad bit different, but the main thing is they have, in my area, we're like really at sea level. It's flat over here for the most part. Over there, it's fairly hilly, mountainous even. A lot of incline when you're going up and down some of these areas, and everything is just so narrow. They got mirrors all over the place just so you can see around the bend, or, you know, in these communities and subdivisions, pedestrians darting in and out, mopeds, all this other stuff. It begs the question, will FSD be able to handle it? Thank goodness we have FSD China to get an idea of what it would look like in some of these other Asian countries that quite similar, like Japan. So I wish I could have experienced it myself. And a prerequisite for me to even retire in Japan is that I gotta have me some FSD. So when FSD is made available, even in its state right now, it will give me a lot more confidence to get my international license and utilize FSD vice the train. The train is awesome, but let's be honest, it's still public transportation. While we were there, we did get sick, And lo and behold, it was right after I used the train. Yosh, in a similar fashion, got sick too. So, with your own personal vehicle, doing all the driving, taking away all that kind of stress, that's the goal. It's not like I'd never use public transportation over there, but having FSD would make things a lot easier. Plus, I just want to see how it navigates some of these situations over there, but still got a little ways to go. And I don't think we'll be moving to Japan anytime soon. I think we got at least till the end of the decade before it becomes a viable option. So we're headed to Millie Dog Park. So we're right now on 99, headed to Westheimer Parkway so that we can proceed as normal. It is weird traveling on this side of the road, even though I'm not driving. I'm experiencing that scenario for five weeks or so. Everybody's driving on the opposite side, right? Right-hand drive or whatever. The freeways, everything's a little bit slower. That's my wife's main complaint, is that in Texas everything moves at breakneck speed, and it feels like everything is halved over there in Japan. Just like I'd probably get a lot of speeding tickets now that I've experienced some Houston driving. We missed Chewbacca. There's no doubt I did. Yeah, I hate to admit it, the little guy. He was excited to see us, and the people that took care of him, they did an excellent job. But many thanks to them as well. Let's see. First video, we're just gonna go back. Like I was not oblivious to the news cycle. I understand the hate and vitriol that was, amplified in the media, whether it be X or anywhere else, right? I think Saturday Night Live doing bits, late night TV. It's aware people are damaging Teslas for no other reason than to express some type of anger toward Elon Musk. So they attack their fellow citizens. To me, doesn't make sense. Luckily, this type of behavior doesn't seem to be impacting us here in Texas. So I'm glad to know that. I mean, because I'm a Democrat, to see someone vandalize my Teslas because of a political affiliation, a political belief, and thinking that they're hurting Elon Musk, they're not hurting anybody but themselves. And it's good to see that not a lot. I'm not saying it doesn't happen here in Texas, but it seems to be far and few between. I mean, all of it is far and few between. Again, the media, regardless of whatever platform you get your media from, is just going to amplify that. But not to diminish it. It can be dangerous, especially when you're going beyond, just keying the car. You're trying to damage it, whether it be by kicking it or whatever. Now, some of these vehicles could be, hypersensitive to the battery pack or whatever. And when you force yourself upon the car like that, you have no idea what kind of damage that you could be inflicting, and what kind of harm that might generate from that. People, trying to set fire to them and stuff. That is probably the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of. None of this stuff is worth taking someone's life for. And in a way, you're going to get caught. And it's not worth destroying your own life by spending it, or having a record, or spending it in jail. So, I'll touch on some of that. Obviously, it's worth touching on, but it's weird times that we live in. How else do I want to put this? Tariffs. I'm just gonna go over the 5, some weekly headlines while I was away, trying to catch up on some of this bizarro news cycle. And it's not over, right? We've got a long way to go to see how the economy shapes up, and a lot of people are trying to divest and get not your boy. This is an incredible buying opportunity. Every day that Tesla is below, well, TSLA is below $300 per share, that is a grand opportunity. And while we were on vacation, I was over there penny pinching just so that I could purchase Tesla. Oh, I probably didn't enjoy that too much, but damn, the opportunity, purchasing Tesla at $220, knowing that the robotaxi is going to be on the way, there's no way. There's no way I can, just try to buy as much of it as I possibly can. My goal, I don't have a whole lot, but I have a significant amount, and the goal right now is to have 1,000 shares before 2030. And I think with this grand opportunity, I'll probably get there a lot sooner than I would had Tesla remained at 350 plus. So we're going to take advantage of it as best we can. And this I don't do financial advice. Who am I to give you financial advice? I just have faith in the company. I have faith in their products, and I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of competition when it comes to even if it was just about the EVs, I still think Tesla makes some of the best products on the road. When you throw in software like FSD, the synergy with the ecosystem. I mean, I got the Powerwalls, I got the solar panels, I've got Tesla Insurance, Tesla Electric. You talk about that level of synergy, and me personally, I have no complaints when it comes to service, when it comes to interacting with Tesla. I mean, the best part is no part, the best service is no service. I like that. I'm not a very, okay, so that was on the other side. Allowing the vehicle to pick up on sounds that are outside the vehicle. I mean, that seems to be imperative to making it function better. So I keep on the lookout for emergency vehicles, making sure the car is operating as it needs to. But it'll come to a point where I no longer need to pay attention, and I just have the utmost confidence in Tesla's ability. Like, the automotive side of the house, probably not the greatest thing. We just got off here. I'm not sure if maybe that was the way to go, but there's a lot of construction over here, so I'd expect an update from the navigation. What are we trying to do? Are we going back up top? Looks like we're gonna keep straight and then turn left up here. Got a motorcycle pulling up to the left. Our intentions were known. I'm not exactly sure if that was in accordance with the navigation, but with all the construction, who knows? We're just gonna let the vehicle do its thing as long as it's safe. If it makes a mistake navigationally, we're gonna just let it go, unless I absolutely know it's going to be taking us out of our way, extending our trip unnecessarily. But so far so good. As they continue to work on 99 and the surrounding exits and on-ramps, our AI student driver is just going with the flow as best as I could. Or it's been 5 weeks since I've traversed this road basically, and as construction changes day to day, week to week, I'm not privy ahead of time to what the configurations might be. And my indecision versus the car's indecision, well, let's just say I take the car six days out of the week and twice on Sunday. got about 13 minutes until we arrive at Millie. The drive has been amazing so far. I did miss the great state of Texas, let alone the great city of Houston, Texas. But Japan was nice. So we're gonna try to take everything as it comes. I have no idea what to talk about right now, ladies and gentlemen. My what do you call it? My habits have been broken. You know, in Japan, I spend a lot of time, you know, just looking at the beautiful scenery, whether they be the mountains or just the farmlands and the countryside, or you get down into Shibuya at night, everything looks lit up, and, you know, the people are, it just feels like you're in a foreign land, mainly because you are. You know, the nightlife, it just, I don't know. All of it is kind of a welcome distraction, but it does me no favors when it comes to routine. We're creatures of habit. I got to find my routine again, and who knows, maybe improve upon that routine. You know, try to find greater ways. My whole purpose in wanting to do Uber isn't about the money. My whole purpose for doing YouTube or being on X isn't about the money. I'm not a paid person on X, but yet I'm a subscriber. I don't mind paying for a service that I think is useful, and I think being a part of the X community, particularly the Tesla community on X, is worth every penny I spend on that subscription there. For YouTube, I'm finally paid, so to speak. I met the requirements for ad revenue. Ad revenue is not something that you could live off of if you wanted to, you know, but I'm not here to make money as an influencer in that respect, right? It's I don't have the time or the energy to dedicate a whole lot of time to making a living off of YouTube or Patreon or whatever the but my goal is to whoever comes across my content, it piques their interest when it comes to Tesla, you know. And honestly, every dime that I make goes into TSLA. It's just the way it is, right? I'd love to work for Tesla, the company, but again, I'm in my early 40s. My best working years might be behind me. Doesn't mean that I won't continue to apply. As a matter of fact, this weekend I will probably do a blast. A blast. I think they've got me flagged as somebody that probably should not be working at Tesla, but I'm still going to try. I'd like to at least spend that knowledge. The purpose of me doing any of this stuff, whether it be the videos or being on X or whatever, is to spread the word that I think this is the most valuable company in the world. Especially, it will be reflected a decade from now. But what this company is doing, right? Transitioning the world to sustainable abundance, I think is the new terminology. We're looking for sustainable abundance, ladies and gentlemen. And what we're going to do is obviously start off with, you know, sustainable transport, you know, easing our reliance on fossil fuels. I'm a firm believer that all forms of energy are going to be necessary until they aren't. And we start by, you know, a cleaner form of renewable energy, and as we progress, generating this energy will become less of a burden on Mother Gaia, and the security that is, you know, being independent of fossil fuels in a way that grants you some type of national security, I'm all about. I'm already experiencing it in my own home. Solar panels aren't cheap, power walls aren't cheap, but having civilization on tap, despite whether or not the grid goes on and offline, it's priceless, ladies and gents. I can't stress it enough. Wife thought it was a vanity purchase at first. You just wanted to have it because it's Tesla. And I was like, okay. And that freeze happened, and she was like, thank you so much. You don't know you need it until it becomes an issue. And, you know, without that disaster, that horrible, horrible disaster of a freeze that destroyed our grid for weeks, she probably wouldn't have understood why I wanted the solar panels and the Powerwall so bad. It's part of the reason why I want a Cybertruck. It's another layer of lo and behold, there's a Cybertruck in front of us, about to be in that turning lane across from us. But that Cybertruck is another layer of protection. You know, you can power your home with that thing. Eventually, who knows, maybe I could power my home with it and allow the power walls to shoot energy back into the grid simultaneously. You know, maybe make a little cheddar off of that. Who knows what will be privy to us in the future, right? Net metering didn't always exist. So laws have to be passed, incentives have to be encouraged to the people, and you never know. You want to put yourself in a position to I love that Cybertruck, man. It's starting to grow on me visually, but for me it's just strictly a utility thing. But like I was saying, you got to be able to benefit off of, I mean, there is no such thing as, well, let's just say there is luck, right? But there is an equation to it. Luck equals opportunity, opportunity plus being prepared, right? Equals luck. So you got to be ready to take advantage of the opportunities that present itself, and I try to do that the best I can, right? I didn't find Tesla until 2020 or so, and that was only after I seen electric vehicle commercials for other car brands, right? And I was like, is that really a vibe? I mean, I was already in a hybrid. Is it even viable for me to think about going electric, right? And at first you're like, well, if one of the cars is electric, the other one is a gas car, we should be fine. And I think that's a lot of people's mentality, especially two-car homes. One of them can be electric, but there's no way I could go both. But just like my neighbor, he's over there looking at the cars, and he's like, you got 2 EVs? And I was like, you don't? It may have seemed a little glib, but I understand, right? Like, I want to drive the point home that you really, as long as you understand what you need, right? He might not be ready. Some people may not be ready for an EV, and I don't think anybody's truly ready until they absolutely experience it. My first EV was the Model 3 rear-wheel drive, and at 80%, that thing was like at 180 miles. You know, I'd have to fill it up to full to get it to around a little under 220. And without understanding, and this was back in 2020, mind you, not understanding the supercharging network, we lived in an apartment at the time, so we weren't just plugging in at the house. I understand that range anxiety does exist, but that's only for people that are entry-level users of the product, which is the electric vehicle. If you don't have a Tesla, that's a whole different story entirely, even though Tesla has opened up its network to those other brands. And it was so kind of them, right? They could easily have forced them to waste their resources on charging. I mean, there's companies out there that's all they do. All they do is make EV charging, EV Go, Electrify America, so on and so forth, right? And their sucks. Imagine if it was another car company having to divert resources to building out this. And they're still trying to build out their own, but yeah, let's be honest. They're going to ask you to utilize the Tesla supercharging network whenever possible. Charging at home is still your best bet, but even GM was burning people's houses down. It was not a good look, and it basically instilled a bunch of fear. You know, founded, unfounded, who knows? But as a Tesla user of the past 5 years or so, I've had nothing but positive things to say. This company has been remarkable when it comes to their products and services. So that's why I am an advocate. I want my family to be in these vehicles. They are the safest things you can have on the road. If you've got a teenager and you have FSD, you don't have to really worry about them being drivers. And I can say that because your boy's a driver. You know, driving is one of those tasks that if you do it for a while, you think you become an expert. All right, because you do so much of it. You're able to multitask, whether it be putting on makeup or eating or whatever you got to do while driving the car, talking on the phone, texting. Everybody's attention is divided when they're driving the car. Why not just let the car do the driving and you do exactly whatever the you wanted to do in the first place? So that's how I look at it. If I had a teenager, I would make sure, it's like, I can tell when you're driving, have FSD engaged whenever absolutely possible, because I know the car's not going to do anything stupid, unlike some of these teenagers out here on the roads. Hell, the teenagers aren't the only ones out here being stupid, but let's just say there's a reason why they can't rent a car before 25. Anyway, my purpose for doing this stuff is to keep the attention on Tesla. Tesla doesn't do a whole lot of advertising, if at all. But, you know, to me, I wasn't going to buy a Tesla until I heard it from somebody else. That's it. Right? I could have seen all the advertisement in the world, but I needed to see an actual human being using the product frequently before I made the plunge. And I saw this guy at a bar at U of H. He had a Tesla. It was his wife's Tesla, as he said, and he was very satisfied. Like, he couldn't, you know, I used his referral code to purchase my first Tesla. So, but that's what I think Tesla understands. This is a new product. It is, are we serious? Did we just park here at Millie Bush? Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with that.